In today's episode, we're talking all things content planning and helping you get organised for the summer.
Welcome to JFDI with the Two Lauras. This is the podcast for freelance social media managers where we share our decades of experience and give you tips, advice, and hopefully some inspiration to help you to build a business as a freelance social media manager. On today's show, we're talking about marketing your business and your clients' businesses whilst you're taking a break over the summer holidays. Because let's face it, none of us went freelance to work every hour God sends, and we all deserve a break, whether it's to swan off on a fancy, swanky 4-star hotel with, all-inclusive, pass me a mocktail, or just lie on a beach, or sit in front of the TV when it's raining on a sunny? How can it be raining on a sunny day? Anyway, you know what I'm trying to say. Raining on a day in August. Welcome back to the podcast. Should we get into it? Do you know what? I think with this episode, we should start with why you should be doing this. Because I have just touched on, it doesn't matter what you're planning to do over the summer, but I think some people might listen to this and think, well, I'm a freelancer, I own a business, I've got these clients, I have to work. And that isn't the case. So I feel like, it's important to say that you deserve to have a break.
Yeah, everyone deserves to have a break. We're not sweat factories, are we? And I think we can all be our own worst enemies in that we feel like we have to always be working because people are paying us. But people were paying you anyway when you were employed.
That's true.
It's no different. You have to have a break. I find when I have a break, there's an impact in my work afterwards because I feel like I've had a break, whether that just be a weekend where I've tried to zone out or, a big week-long holiday in the summer. It's good for us. And
definitely.
And surely everybody wants, one of the reasons, and it may vary on how high up the list is, but one of the reasons people go freelance is because they want that flexibility. And that isn't just about flexibility in your day-to-day. They want to have flexibility in the whole year to enable them to maybe take time off, go travelling, spend time with relatives, whatever that may be. And it is worth saying, although this podcast is heavily about how you can take time off in the summer, the roots of all the advice is relevant any time of year. So whether it be Christmas, March, November, whenever it may be, a week, a month, it's all relative.
Yeah.
But obviously we're just talking about the summer because it's looming.
You don't have to be doing anything. You don't have to go and have a holiday. You don't have to, get out of your house. It's absolutely fine to just slob about on the sofa. It's also absolutely fine to take a break just so you can get on top of the washing. You can have a break.
God, how depressing.
It's just my washing.
But I think on the flip of that as well, it is worth just stating that if you want to go on holiday, whatever that holiday looks like, and still work, that is fine.
Yes.
If you want to take your laptop, that is fine. And don't let any Instagrammy people or LinkedIn people tell you that it's bad if you don't.
Yeah.
If that's what gives you the flexibility, then crack on. You do you, and don't let anyone with their motivational posts tell you otherwise.
Yeah. I remember a friend of mine told me that I was a workaholic, and I was like, that's really not, I know you're trying to insult me, but I like my work. But how does it affect you when you don't even live in my house? Just do whatever you want to do. Definitely.
And I think it's worth us saying, when we say, taking time off in the summer, I imagine most people automatically be thinking, okay, but my clients, what do I need to do for my clients? But it's also worth saying you have to continue marketing your business
100%.
as a freelance social media manager, especially if you want to take the whole summer off, as in you're a parent and want to take 6-7 weeks off over the summer.
Yeah.
You still should be marketing your business over that period of time. And there will be some people will go, well, no, I'm not. And obviously that's absolutely within your power to do so. It's your business. Do whatever you like. Don't listen to us. But
I would say don't listen to us, but I think that's a massive mistake.
Yeah. And there are ways that you can still market your business and manage that. So it doesn't impose on your break. But at the end of the day, you are a business owner and the buck does stop with you. So if you don't market your business, then you'll suffer the consequences, and potentially not immediately, but in the long term. If you go quiet,
you have to think about it from this perspective, right? People will say, oh, yeah, but you can just have a break. You can come back after the summer, all of that stuff, which is true. But A, why would you put yourself in a position that when you come back, things are harder? Because it will be harder. And B, what if your perfect dream client happens to be scrolling, looking for a social media manager during the summer, and they see that you haven't posted in ages? You know, even if you've scheduled content and you are not actively engaging, if they can see that there's been recent content, they're much more likely to think, oh, this person takes their business seriously. I'm going to inquire with them. You know, you don't want to miss out on those opportunities. And I know people will always say, and you'll probably see content from us saying this as well, to be fair, but you'll see content all the time throughout the summer saying, oh, don't worry, engagement is down because people are not on social media, which is an absolute lie. People are on social media. They're just doing things differently. Because if you walk along any beach in a holiday resort, you're sitting by the pool, everyone is scrolling on their phones. No, they may not be buying stuff, although I probably suspect quite a lot of them are. They may not be engaging, but they are paying attention. And if they haven't got content from you to pay attention to, they're paying attention to somebody else. So just think about that. Think about all those people who are scrolling. Do you want to still be showing up in front of them? I would imagine the answer is probably yes.
And I think algorithmically, now I'm going to talk about something that I didn't actually hear from the horse's mouth, and you did, so you're going to have to correct me. But didn't you say when you were listening to that Moserai that isn't pronounced Moserai, as we now have learned, but we don't know how to pronounce it, so we're going to carry on calling him Moserai. He said that if you don't post, was it 2 months? That your account
No, I think it was way less than that, wasn't it? I can't remember what the number was.
Oh,
maybe we'll find it and put it in the show notes. I can't remember what it was.
I shouldn't have raised this point without being
but it is a good point, because
correct.
He did say that there was a number of it may have even been weeks. I can't remember, but there was a certain number of weeks or months that if you don't post during that time, the algorithm forgets everything that it knew about you. So when you then come back to posting, it has to relearn everything. Imagine like that you're using ChatGPT and you got rid of all its memory and you've got to start again. That would be so annoying. It's exactly the same in the algorithm. It forgets everything about you. So why take that risk? And like, you don't need loads of content to keep that algorithm up to date with what it needs to know about you in terms of who to show your content to. But you need something, because like I said, otherwise it's just going to scrap its memory.
So, and I get it. Like I get it that summer holidays are hard if you're a parent, you know, trying to entertain little things constantly. Like I get it, and I totally can relate. But and I find, as Laura will contest to, the September incredibly difficult. Like after the summer, and then everyone going back into new routines, new clubs, new timings, new everything. I find it really stressful. So the last thing I need is also my social media tanking, like not getting anywhere, can't seem to get any new clients or inquiries or bookings, depending on what you're trying to market for. So just, you know, I'm all for people taking a break, but what we want to do in this podcast is give you some tips and thoughts to consider now. So we're in May, to be taking action now to help your summer be a bit easier and your September easier.
It's like being strategic about a break, isn't it? You know, and not just going, oh, it's now June and I haven't done anything for the last 6 months, so I'm just going to have a break. Like, you know, just plan it. It's not difficult. And like, we're going to be talking about content and all of that stuff throughout this podcast and how you can get organised with that. But if you haven't already, head over to thetwolauras.com/content bank and you will find so many content ideas there. There's like well over 100 content ideas there. And if you also pick up a copy of the plans while you're there, we've mapped out the whole summer content for you. So you don't even have to think. We've literally told you what to post and when. So go to thetwolauras.com/content bank or click the link in the show notes and you can find out all about that. So in terms of actually planning for this break, what are the things that we need to think about before we can start planning that content?
Well, There's me thinking
I've stopped her. She has got notes in front of her.
where my passports are. But I think if you're meaning business-wise, you need to kind of map out when is that break happening in the calendar? How long is it? Do you need to add before and after days, like I would, the packing beforehand, the recovery afterwards? So therefore, how much content are you going to need within that time for each individual client, but also for you? What do you need to kind of bear in mind, i.e., like for my clients, I would know what content goes a bit wild and can and has in the past gone viral. I would try to avoid that kind of content being scheduled for when I'm away and maybe do it for when I'm back or just before I go. So, you want to make some decisions about what you kind of want to be covering within that time.
That is such a good point, though, isn't it? Because if a post goes viral when you're away, they're guaranteed there's going to be negative sentiment on that post from some people, and someone needs to be there to manage it.
And
so
I've been there and done that, which is why I think differently now about the content I'm planning. Originally, I think my mindset probably would have been, I'm going to make sure amazing content goes out when I'm away. So my clients think, oh, it's okay. Not that I wouldn't do amazing content all the time, but as in like I'd go above and beyond because I'd want to prove to them that it's okay that I can have a break and everything still ticks along and goes amazingly well. But the reality of that is it can be absolute frigging carnage if things go too well.
Yeah.
Because viral is not always good, remember?
No, absolutely not.
Despite what the kids are saying.
I think you also need to be thinking about what's coming up in their business in terms of, like, when you come back, are there key dates that need to have been planned for in terms of are they planning a launch? So therefore, the content that when you're away, that needs to be audience building kind of content potentially.
Yeah.
So what is happening on the back end of your break that needs to be considered in terms of the content? So definitely think about that. So you want to make sure you're getting all of those like dates and plans from the business so you can sort that out.
I think you have to be quite firm with that as well. Like it's always a difficult conversation with clients in like May, June, saying, okay, well, what are you doing in August? What events have you got? What deadlines have you got? What new stuff have you got? Tell me everything. Because they're like, I can't cope with next week, let alone, 3 months' time. And admittedly, they're not always able, depending on, we're speaking very broadly to kind of cover all the different range of clients that you may have. But some clients might not be able to give you firm set detail, but they should have a rough idea of what they've got planned over the summer. So you can at least get that in your plans, maybe do some low level content planning and then firm it up with the detail closer to the holidays. But I think you've got to have those conversations now. If you don't have the conversations now, you're going to be in a bit of a spiral come kind of July, August. And explain to them why, like be upfront about it. Say you want to be organised, like help me be organised, because they'll probably get it too. Most of your clients are probably parents and or wanting to take time off over the summer. They will totally understand.
Yeah, I think you need to kind of check in with yourself on that as well. Like, what do you want to happen on the back end of your break? What are you planning to launch in September, October, what have you? And what can you be doing now to make sure that the content that's going out over the summer is helping play into that?
Yeah, don't just think, right, I'm going to put content in my scheduler because that ticks a box.
No.
Don't approach it like that. Your marketers think, what does this content need to be doing to help me with my next campaign when I come back after that summer break? So be strategic here. Don't just put crap out. You're better than that.
Yeah. And also just kind of on that note of you're better than that, you want to make sure that you do look like you're better than that. We don't want any of this negative kind of sentiment content that makes you look bad. Oh, I'm taking the summer off because I'm so burnt out. That doesn't look good. You know what I mean? Oh, the summer's such a juggle for me because I've got this and this going on. That, it's you need to flip all of those things and be like, here's how I'm planning for my summer, rather than here's how I'm planning for my summer because otherwise it's going to be a bloody nightmare. You know, you want to make sure that people are looking at you in a really positive, almost like you're the leader and the expert that they can trust because you've got your shit together and on social, maybe not behind the scenes. They don't need to know that. So, just think about those messages that you're putting out in terms of that. Well, I always say, I find it so bizarre when a social media manager talks about having a digital detox. It's like, why are you telling people you've had a digital detox? That does not look good for your business. So just think about how these things come across.
Yeah, there's so much I could probably say on that, but maybe that's a whole different podcast in altogether. But yeah, definitely be thinking about your messaging when you're, talking about taking a break and why you're taking a break, preferably not because you hate social media. And I have seen that from a social media manager. So yeah, just think about it. think before you post.
Definitely.
And if you are feeling frustrated, if you are feeling burnt out, then just come tell us. Don't put it out there and broadcast it to the world. Just come have a chat with people who get it. Put it in those private
communities that you're in, rather than on your business pages. You have to be careful about what you're actually putting out to the world on your business page.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about the actual practicalities then of getting this done, getting that content in the scheduler so that the summer is a breeze. We can lay on a beach. That would just be my absolute dream. Not going to happen. But, all of those things that we can do. How can we actually get it done?
Well, the thing that I have always done, so where are we now? We're probably 10 years into thinking like this, although it's developed as time has, probably more than that actually, as time's gone on. But I will start creating content now. I will start putting it in the scheduler now. And normally I'm someone who will say, well, don't plan too far in advance when you're doing social. It's very difficult but if you sit down and create your plan now, map out your campaign, like what are you trying to do? What are the peaks in that campaign? I.e., don't let that marry up with when you're away. You want to just sit there and think, right, I'm going to need, because you've done this planning, you know how long you're going to be off for, how much content you need. So now from June, if I create each week a couple of extra pieces of content, so when I'm in Canva, I just whack out a few more, simple, or I'm in edits and I do a few more reels. You want to be doing that now. So each week, for each client and your own business, create a little bit more content now. It may well be you don't use it all, and that's fine. And actually, it will probably help you come September.
Yeah.
But just be thinking ahead of now. From now, I cannot stress enough. Now is the time to start creating your summer content.
And I know there will be at least one listener going, oh, yeah, but I can't think of loads more ideas. So here's a really quick way you can do this, right? You're creating an Instagram carousel this week. Great. Grab the text off of it, whack it on a B-roll, or split it up so you've got some of it on a B-roll, some of it in the caption. Grab the text off of that carousel, read it out, and make it a script over a B-roll. Grab the text off the carousel, speak to camera, use it as a script. That's 4 pieces of content you've made from one.
Yeah.
And there's been no extra thought. It's just a few more steps in the actual content creation process.
And that whole process can be repeated for your past content as well. Yeah. So going and looking assuming it aligns with whatever you're trying to do, go and look at your best performing content and think, right, how can I recreate this so it does align with whatever this new campaign is, or how can I just put it back out there again, or as Laura's just said, how can I recreate that into different formats and repeat that message? We all know we have to say things more than once, so this is how. You just don't make your life difficult for you, because I get it. If you've got 3 or 4 clients and your own business and you've got to create extra content than you normally would as it stands now, it can be overwhelming. So just make it simple for yourself, like repurpose old content, remix the kind of content you've got, and go forth and create content.
Yeah, and don't worry that people are going to be like, oh, you said this before. It's so unlikely that people will A, remember, B, care, and C, be annoyed by it. The more times we hear things, the more it sinks in. Laura and I have been learning about marketing, well, me since I left school. But the more times I hear a message, the more times it kind of sinks in. And there's things that I'm still learning now, all these years in, because I'm hearing it in a different way. So just think about, well, for a carousel might help one person to learn it really well, but somebody else might need to actually hear it orally.
Yeah.
Or audibly? What's the word I'm looking for there?
Well, you're hearing it audibly.
And well, however it is, hear it in your ears. You know what I mean. So just think about that.
Yeah. Yeah, don't overcomplicate this. You don't
No.
have to reinvent the wheel each time you create content. And that goes all the time, to be honest. That's got nothing to do with taking a summer break.
Yeah.
So do remix and repurpose what you can. And obviously, depending on your clients and depending on the industries they're in, you may be able to whack out a bit more content and get it in that scheduler as strategically as possible. But certainly for my clients in the past, I've always had to, I can put evergreen content out and I can get that scheduled. But because they would often have a lot of newness or events, I would have to leave gaps in the scheduler that I would then add to. But then that's fine. Adding 2 or 3 pieces of content just before I go on holiday is a lot easier than like having to juggle everything when they're posting kind of daily. And on that note, you'll probably be thinking, I can't think when this will be going out, probably early June. And you'll be thinking, oh, it's fine, I've still got a few weeks. I tell you now, July, if you're a parent, is hell. So just think ahead. This isn't just about, I want to go and take time off for a holiday. Just think about the juggle you have got now in this summer term. It's always the worst term. There's events, there's extra packed lunches you didn't know you had to make. There's sports day if you're stupid enough to have multiple children like myself. There's multiple sports days. There's multiple end of year performances. There's multiple summer fates. There's all sorts of stuff going on. So do yourself a favour and start now.
Yeah. And I think also, let's just talk about if you are a social media manager who also has ads clients, because you might think, well, that's great for a social media manager, but what can I do for ads? And there is stuff you can do now to be getting ready for ads as well. So I think let's just dive into that really quickly, shall we?
Yeah. So I would, but before the summer, well, my plans would always be, but by the time my school holidays have started, irrespective if I was going away, I would have all creative done, all captions done, all the campaigns built out, ready, in draft, even approved, waiting to go, scheduled to start. I'd just try and get as much done as possible. And again, that needs that open and honest conversation with clients about getting all the information. So you're obviously able to do that. So then you've only got to worry about changes or if the ads don't work or, but you haven't got to worry about all the actual build of that campaign. So I would definitely be working on that now. In fact, we should be doing that now for our business as well, Laura.
Yeah, okay. Add it to the list.
Write it down. New campaigns.
I think as also, don't forget that some of this stuff you can outsource.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to be doing it all yourself. You can outsource, you can use templates, you can use AI, there's so many things that you can do to help make this easier. So don't think it has to be you stuck in Canva or, in a video editing tool 24/7 to get this done. It doesn't have to be. If you've priced well, then, and you've got the funds to be able to outsource, do it. Make your life easier.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the summary really is that it's about being organised, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's not delaying the inevitable. And I know we're all busy and I know it's hard enough now to deal with clients, but just think of that holiday. Think of that. That's your motivation. Put that on your vision board or print that out and stick it on your wall in front of your computer. That's what you're working towards. And if your plan is to fully have a break over that summer and have a week off where you don't do anything to do with social media, then that's absolutely fine. But you're going to have to do the legwork now. And just start now. By starting now, it's going to make it a lot easier come the summer.
Yeah. And even if you're not having like a break in terms of like taking time away or whatever, if you've freed up that time because you've done this work now, you've got time to work on other things in your business. Maybe you've been putting off creating that lead magnet or going and creating your first digital product or what have you. If you do this, then you've freed up that time, and you can do that any time of the year to free up time. So you can go and do other things that could potentially be making you money.
Yeah, nice. Love that. Yeah.
Excellent. So there we go. That's another one in the bag. We would love to hear your feedback on our podcast. If you would like to leave us a review, go to wherever you're listening. Obviously, tap the 5 stars, if you think we deserve it. Leave us a review. We love hearing from you. We read them all. And we'd love to know. And then next week's episode is kind of a follow-on from this. We're going to talk about how you can have those awkward conversations with clients when you're going to take time off, because they do kind of feel a bit icky. We'll be back same time, same place next week. Tune in for that.
Yeah, can't wait. We'll be tackling the question of what to do if they want to reduce your invoice. Yeah, so definitely come back for that.
The most important question of the whole show is what language are you saying goodbye in today?
Au revoir.
Oh, auf Wiedersehen.
Excellent. See you next week.
Bye.